Hello, friends, dear companions of our patriots. It's me, Vinicius, from Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, and today I would like to talk about the perceptions in South America about the fall of Maduro in Venezuela. That was a very curious event because I talk with a lot of foreigners every single day, and there was a consensus in the globe that Trump violated international law, blah blah blah. Okay, so it seems that Donald Trump is not very liked internationally, and we know why. These people they have their right to be very angry with him, and people like to mix the things. They say, "Oh, if Trump did something, something is wrong. Oh, war is bad always." But it's very ironical that the people who deals with Maduro's actions, they were celebrating in the streets. The Venezuelans that I know were celebrating, Brazilians were celebrating, Mexicans were celebrating. Everybody that deals with the Venezuelan diaspora who know how to be economic refugee. Bro, Maduro, he tortured, he destroyed many lives, no? He destroyed the whole country, no? So the Venezuelan people was like, that movie, Star Wars Episode 6, Return of the Jedi, when the empire is defeated. This is the vibe that I felt when I talked with Venezuelans. So, but let's talk a little bit about Brazil. So, as you may know, Brazil has leftists and we have the conservatives. Okay, the conservatives were celebrating like it was a dream. Okay, the leftists they were very afraid. This was the feeling. Lula, the president of Brazil, he condemned the extraction of Maduro, but we know that Lula was negotiating with Trump because of all the magnetic sanctions over Alejandro de Morales. Okay, so I really think that there is a businessman in Brazil called Joesley who sells meat to America, and he is always in the entourage of Donald Trump. So very probably, Joesley is like made a lobby with Trump uh, to the end of the sanctions over Brazil, and also Joesley went to Venezuela to talk with Maduro to try to convince Maduro to step down. What I really believe is that Lula, Brazil, we were very aware of the attack. I really think that America told Brazil that it would happen, so it was not a surprise. Why I think because America didn't want intervention of any other country, and America wanted to certify that Maduro wouldn't escape to Brazil, what would be very logical. So I really think that there was a deal made by Trump and Lula that made this operation possible. Okay. That said, Lula said, "Oh, it's disgusting. It's the end of the international law." Bro, the international law is destroyed every single day, bro. Let's not forget that the Armenians were genocided by the Turkish people, and Turkey never paid anything. Nobody even remember about the Armenians. And Hitler, when he did the Holocaust, he said, "Who remembered the Armenians?" Okay, so the Armenian genocide was the inspiration for the Holocaust. And the Turkish people never suffered anything. You know why? Because the international law only works if you are, it only serves the powerful. That's it. If you're powerful, you can do whatever you want. And what we are watching, especially after the Ukrainian war, is the end of the international law. So it's against the international law that you can invade a country. Russia did it. So, for example, Israel did a lot of war crimes. I'm a big Zionist, but it's undeniable. They made international law. How many sanctions happened against Israel? Zero. Zero. The whole media in the world against Israel, and Israel was very resilient and was able to become even more powerful diplomatically. So I really think that what's happening now in South America is that most of the people are afraid that what happened with Maduro can happen again with other leaders, including Lula, including Petro, including Claudia Sheinbaum. So I know that now there are three main countries where people are very afraid: Cuba, Colombia, and Mexico. And I really think that America will. Uh, but you see, I don't like to criticize Trump because he did something that I classify as very good. But Trump is doing a very pornographic, okay, invasion of the sovereignty of other country. Let's not forget that the situation evolved to this chaos because the Venezuelan people voted for Chavez, so they opened the door to someone who had already authoritarian impulses. Okay, Chavez, before being elected president, tried to do a military coup in the past. So when you vote for an authoritarian person, it's very natural this person will make your country a dictatorship. That's why, even though I love the Venezuelan people, I can't say that they are 100% victims. They are responsible for what happened. So, so far we are watching that Trump is doing very smart things. No, so he's trying to preserve the regime to avoid conflict. So he's not trying to replicate the failed policies of Iraq, in which there was the deposition of Saddam Hussein and then a full occupation of the country. So he just is trying to negotiate with the vice president of Maduro and saying, and he made a threat. He said that if she doesn't collaborate with them, she will pay a big price. So on the other hand, Trump will take control of the oil and gold. Venezuela has the biggest oil reserves in the world and biggest gold reserves in the world. And now this is everything is American. The question is, Maduro is gone, okay? But there is a lot of conspiracies. There are people who are saying that Maduro made a deal and he let America extract him. Okay, so this was the deal. Other people are saying that there was a betrayal. Okay, that America had information of insiders of the entourage of Maduro, and that's why they were able to make this operation. Okay, this is more plausible. So, and there is also the theory that Maduro, once arrested, he will uh, make he will reveal the crimes of other presidents, including Lula, including Petro, including other regimes, okay, of the region. So it's a lot of people believe that Maduro can reveal crimes of other presidents that can justify other actions in the future. There is a so he can be a factor of instability for Brazil. There are people who believe that Trump did it only to change the topic of the Epstein files. That the Epstein files we that were released so far reveal that Trump was not only he's involved in a in a in abusing a child of 13 years old, but also of killing someone. So it's very clear that there's a lot of very evil things in the Epstein files, and that Trump is involved, and he wanted to change the topic. And okay, so he made a very good move by arresting Maduro. Now okay, even though it's very funny because everybody's against Trump, so but all the Hispanic people, they are enjoying a lot this moment. So the problem is, I hate Maduro, but I want Venezuela to be free. I don't want, so there is no difference between being under a Venezuelan socialist dictatorship and American dictatorship, in a dictatorship that is dominated by America. I want Venezuela to be ruled by the Venezuelan people, and the main representative of the Venezuelan opposition is Marina Corina Machado, the winner of the Nobel Peace Prize. And so far, I will not criticize Trump because he said that Mariana Corina Machado has no support and she's not respected in Venezuela. And I hate to say that, but he has a point. Mariana Corina Machado, she's against negotiating with Maduro. She wants to arrest all the criminals, all the drug cartels of Venezuela because she's very moralistic and she doesn't want to make concessions. So a lot of the financial elites that supported the regime, they don't, of course, they don't want to collaborate with Magna Corina Machado. So I hope that this statement is only temporary, and that in the future, Magna Corina Machado will be able to run for office and be the leader of Venezuela, and all the oil of Venezuela will belong to the Venezuelan people. But people are starting to believe that it's not the case. People are starting to believe that Trump will only take Maduro out and will put some puppets. He doesn't care if he's a leftist or a conservative, but this puppet will give all the oil to the United States and for the American companies, and that dictatorship that was a Chinese and Russian backed dictatorship will become an American dictatorship, and this can be the beginning of a new wave of dictatorships in the South America. I really think that I'm really afraid that what happened in Venezuela can also happen in other countries. I really think the next target can be Mexico or Colombia. Okay, but we have to admit that the situation, the internal chaos in Venezuela, make it very more possible to make a transition like this. So as the world is going to a second Cold War, this time not America against Russia, but America against China, I really think that the same events that happened in the first Cold War can be replicated now. So what happened in the first Cold War? The the South American countries, they slowly evolved into dictatorships backed by the American. And very probably Venezuela is only the first country. Very probably what we will see is that Javier Milei in Argentina, he will be re-elected. Very possibly he will be change the constitution to run again. So he will stay in office. The same thing can happen in Chile with Jose Antonio Cast. I'm pretty sure that in Peru, the next election will be won by the conservatives. So I really think that the conservatives, they will start to use some legal devices, okay, to maintain their power. And if they can't win the elections, then there will be a coup, then there will be a revolution, and that's why the situation of Brazil, Mexico, and Colombia are so fragile. In Colombia, there is a big risk of the rights of the conservatives win the next election. So the situation will be very tense in Colombia and in Brazil. And in Mexico, it will be interesting because Claudia Sheinbaum is deeply popular. So they can't win. America can't take power of Mexico only rigging elections or manipulating things. They have to forge a revolution in Mexico if they want to do something like that. So I'm really very afraid of what will happen in the next election of Brazil and Colombia to see if America will intervene heavily. Okay, that's why I think what I really am hoping is that there is no wars. Okay, but I'm really afraid that it can happen. No, as America invaded Venezuela, we are waiting that this third world war will be finally culminated when finally in 2027 Xi Jinping, the president of the dictator of China, decides to invade Taiwan, and when it happens the war will be okay, will happen. Okay, so what has happening is now that America is closing the Latin American continent for China. All the investments that China did here, I don't know if it will be finished, and the situation of Brazil will be very fragile because one, Lula is will face in 2026 a very hard election against the son of the former far right president, who is arrested. So now that Trump is putting so much military pressure on Venezuela, I wouldn't dis- dismiss the possibility that Alejandro de Morales Xandão would release the former Brazilian president who is arrested as an act of of submission. Okay, I really think that's it can happen. That they say, okay, 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 let's not let's appease Trump to avoid the invasion. So let's release the former far right president. The good thing is that the son of the far right president is so bad candidate that Trump has a substantial chance of winning the next election. So, but we also have to admit that there is a big odd that Lula can die because he's very, very old, and his vice president is Alckmin, who can is very a lot more moderate. So there is this possibility that the fall of Maduro can generate a long list of consequences to the Latin American continent, including uh, but including military coups. Okay, unfortunately, and I would believe that the countries who are where the military coup would be more possible, it would be Brazil, because in Brazil we already had the militaries working in the former far right administration. So there is, and we survived a military coup from the former far right president. So we create a military coup in Brazil wouldn't be so bad, because there is a lot of Brazilians of the far right who believe in a military government. Okay, so this Brazil is the only country in which you have people claiming for a military coup. So this is a very bad ingredient. So I really think that Lula can be elected, but now the situation is getting very blurry, very blurry. So that's it. Until next time.